KSAT 12, the Nightbeat, starts right now.
The start of October comes with a new push from the city of San Antonio to clear more encampments for unhoused people.
The night team's Avery Everett shows us how the new budget that went into effect today gives city departments more money to do that.
Order scheduled for the 11th.
A warning Pete Barrera is familiar with.
So you got at least about 2 weeks for the assessment and then the 48 hours.
As the outreach manager at Haven for Hope,
The 11th is assessment. On the 13th, they clean up.
Barrera says helping spread the word about encampment cleanups to those without housing is one of his top priorities.
They've been increasing for a while.
The city just cleaned up this area in the 600 block of Croft Trace just a few days ago. And you can't see it from this angle, but people have already started to move back. This year, the city's looking to clean up 500 sites, but that number is going to jump next year with budget increases to 700.
We had a big improvement from the year before, and we're going to continue improving on that.
San Antonio's Solid Waste Management Department is following the direction of City Council and the city manager. Now, with the start of October, the city is trying to clean up encampments within 2 weeks of getting an initial call.
We're doing it in drainage ditches, wooded areas, you name it, to wherever there's a homeless encampment, our crews go in there and clean it up.
The city says outreach and an assessment happen before an abatement. With the schedule already packed for the coming weeks, some locations are becoming regular stops.
Like Hay Street Bridge, you got off of Fredericksburg Road, Austin Highway, there's some repeat encampments that we go by there regularly.
We tried to talk to some of those people impacted, but no one we spoke with wanted to go on camera. One man did say he's lived in the same camp for a couple of months, and he's had to deal with a few cleanups himself.
Since I've been here 2 times.
Yeah. Some might leave, some might take it serious. Others, like I said, if they've been through it before, they know how it works.
Barrera says he still makes an effort to get the message out.
Meet them where they're at, no matter where they're at.
Hoping to help those in his community, even if they're not ready to go to Haven yet.
325, the same time as the Cowboys.
Also included in the city's budget is $200,000 for rental and utility assistance. They say that they're hoping it prevents more people from losing their housing. Reporting live, I'm Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Avery. Switching gears to a look outside with live cam tonight. 83 degrees here in San Antonio, and we're pretty quiet after finding a few downpours and isolated thunderstorms track across at least portions of south central Texas earlier today. It wasn't for everybody, and now that the sun has gone down, we've lost that daytime heat. Whatever was left out there on authority radar has fizzled out, and I think for the most part through the overnight hours, most of us will be pretty quiet. But as we look ahead to the upcoming work week, starting off with your Monday, pretty similar to what we saw out there earlier today, just an isolated chance for a few more showers and maybe an isolated rumble of thunder as well. 93 degrees, the high temperature, so still going to be hotter than average. And we're going to copy and paste that into Tuesday too, but then we start to see those changes move towards the region in the form of a cool front that now looks to move in Thursday morning. It does look to bring with it a better chance for some scattered rain and thunderstorms, and yes, some cooler temperatures in its wake. We will time it out and get you all the details coming up in just a few.
Thanks, Mia. We'll see you then. Looking ahead to tomorrow, nearly 2 months after accepting a plea deal in her daughter's death, Katrina Mendoza will head back to court to testify against her boyfriend.
Now, if you don't remember, Mendoza took her daughter Mercedes Lozoya to the hospital back in February 2022. Mercedes was unconscious when they got there, and the affidavit paints a gruesome picture of the condition the 5-year-old was in. The arrest affidavit says Lozoya had bruises, scratches, cuts, and swelling on almost every visible part of her body. Mercedes eventually died from those injuries, and Mendoza and her boyfriend Jose Ruiz were each charged in the girl's death. Mendoza pleaded guilty to 1 count of assault against a child in August, and tomorrow she will testify against her boyfriend Ruiz, who is still facing charges in that case. Mendoza will be sentenced after Ruiz's trial. She faces a maximum of 45 years in prison.
I do intend to file a motion to vacate against Speaker McCarthy this week. I think we need to rip off the Band-Aid. I think we need to move on with new leadership that can be trustworthy.
That is Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, and he is determined to oust House Speaker Kevin McCarthy from his role. A day after lawmakers on Capitol Hill voted to keep the government funded, Gaetz and McCarthy have been in an ongoing standoff since January, when a hard right flank of the Republicans made it harder for McCarthy to become Speaker. And now Gaetz says he has an issue with McCarthy depending on Democrats to keep the government funded and running. So after avoiding a possible shutdown by just a few hours yesterday, Congress is back on the clock to pass a long-term spending bill.
The stopgap bill passed yesterday gives the government 45 days to pass it, or millions of federal workers could again face the possibility of another government shutdown. ABC's Andrew Dimbert tells us about what lawmakers want to get in the bill before they vote on it in November.
Speaker Kevin McCarthy putting forth a stopgap funding measure on Saturday that keeps the government funded through November 17th. President Biden signing the bill late Saturday, which includes $16 billion in disaster relief, but does not include any new aid to Ukraine.
Despite that, I did not believe we could let millions of Americans go through the pain of a government shutdown.
On CBS's Face the Nation, McCarthy said his priority is border security.
I support being able to make sure Ukraine has the weapons that they need, but I firmly support the border first. So we've got to find a way that we can do this together.
While Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, also appearing on CBS, said the Senate will soon have a bill that includes Ukraine aid and funding for border security.
To the Republicans who say Ukraine doesn't matter to us, you're wrong. Respectfully, you're wrong. The war gets bigger, not smaller.
Unable to unite his own party, McCarthy relied on Democrats for the votes needed to pass this temporary bill, a move that could cost him his speakership. Florida Republican Representative Matt Gaetz says he's determined to vote him out.
I am relentless, and I will continue to pursue this objective.
Though some feel that's just wasting time.
By putting this motion to vacate on the floor, you know what Matt Gaetz is going to do? He's going to delay the ability to complete that work over the next 45 days.
Congress now has until November 17th to pass bills that will fund the government for the next fiscal year. President Biden urging lawmakers to get the job done, saying Americans are tired of the brinksmanship. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Back here at home, San Antonio police are investigating an overnight shooting that sent a reluctant 54-year-old man to the hospital. Police found that man lying on the ground with a gunshot wound around 2:30 this morning at Ute and Iroquois Street. Officers say he refused initial treatment and would not tell them what led up to the gunfire. That man was eventually taken to the hospital in stable condition. Still no information on a suspect in that case.
An argument between siblings turned violent when a sister allegedly stabbed her brother. A witness telling police he saw the victim bleeding as he left the home. This happened on Charmaine Place near Southwest Military around midnight. Officers say when they got to the scene, a family member told them the 23-year-old brother left the house and was not sure where the sister was. She was later found hiding behind a shed with blood on her face and was taken into custody. The 31-year-old suspect is claiming self-defense. Police have not been able to find that victim. Dream carriers is what a San Antonio filmmaker calls people who carry on a dream from one generation to the next. The woman that took her idea and created a short film using her own heritage and experience from growing up on the city's west side as inspiration.
The Night Team's Camelia Juarez spoke with that filmmaker about the value of respecting or reflecting on your own family history.
Strange that the journey of a monarch butterfly begins at the end.
It was like a love letter to them and to the city I grew up in.
Esmeralda Hernandez is the filmmaker behind a 7-minute short film called Dream Carriers. It's about a college Chicana who sees a monarch butterfly, reminding her of the generations of women that came before her. The film explores immigration, first-generation college graduates, and growing up in an underserved community. Themes Hernandez says were present in her own family.
Our mothers, our grandmothers not being able to finish school, having all these pressures on them to break generational cycles. Just explore those ideas through the migration of monarch butterflies.
The film follows several generations of butterflies, but it's the youngest generation that migrates and experiences a life different from the past generations.
Being able to just fly all the way back to Mexico from the north, and not really having to do what the past generations did. And it fit. I was able to go to college and nobody before me was able to do that.
The short film was supported by a San Antonio native crew, local actresses, and shot on the city's west side. Hernandez says she wanted to highlight the bright colors of the west side.
Wanted to pay tribute to that and show all the beautiful murals and that show all of our history as Mexicans, as Latinos. It's in the walls of the West Side.
Dream Carriers has won awards at film festivals across the country, and Hernandez says she's happy to see her experience here in San Antonio resonate with so many people.
I wish I had films like this when I was a kid, because I think it would have really drastically changed my self-image when I was younger.
Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
And if you'd like an opportunity to see that short film or see any of our other Hispanic Heritage Month stories, we have them all available right now on our website at ksat.com.
The new city budget includes dedicating more money to keeping police officers safe. That includes plans of giving police new bulletproof technology to protect themselves. Why that might be more difficult to add than you think. Plus, ready for war. Universal City Police claim a man said that as he threatened to kill people inside a home and get in a shootout with officers. KSAT investigates what happened after that man was arrested.
And coming up, a new breakthrough for COVID vaccines is in the works right here in San Antonio. What sets this new science apart from the rest of the vaccines? Next on the Nightbeat.
What musical instrument says more about our Hispanic heritage than this?
For generations, the accordion has been at the heart of South Texas and our music.
The first number that I learned, it was in the 50s.
And all Texas are known for conjunto, tejano, and norteño.
And this San Antonio man has played an important role, passing down his skills to thousands.
He's already playing pretty good. Tócale algo.
His full story and the accordion's bright future.
It's a good feeling to hear my music being spread out.
Streaming now on these platforms.
All right, a different type of COVID vaccine is in the works right here in San Antonio. The international project chose Texas Biomed for their research, which involves a fascinating way of getting the vaccine into patients. And a hint, it's not a shot. Courtney Friedman brings us into the lab to see the promising progress they're making.
We all know about the mRNA COVID vaccines, the Pfizer and Moderna versions that act as messengers, teaching the immune system how to recognize the spiky SARS-CoV-2 virus. Well, this team at Texas Biomed is working on a vaccine that does something similar, except using DNA. And no, it's not DNA from a person. It's from bacteria.
It's very easy to grow bacteria. So, and then they are extracted from the bacteria, purified, and then injected.
Dr. Viraj Kulkarni leads the Texas Biomed Innovation Lab, created during the pandemic for researchers to collaborate across the globe.
We have inquiries from all over the world, actually. We had from South Korea, India, France, and UK.
This research is being done with a company in the UK, and it's looking very promising. They just finished the phase using mice, and Kulkarni says it was almost 100% effective.
These plates here in the lab showed the results of this study in the mice. This plate right here was the control. The mice did not receive the vaccine, so you can see the virus left over, where this, with the empty plate, showed that the mice did get the vaccine and they did not get infected.
Like mRNA vaccines, this one is safe and easy to make.
So you can produce large amount of these vaccines very quickly.
But there are a couple differences. First, DNA vaccines don't need to be stored at freezing temperatures, so they're much easier to transport. Second, they're administered with this. This is called a gene gun. Instead of using a needle, this device propels the DNA strands into the skin using air pressure.
It's usually powered by helium gas. Because of the air pressure, the vaccine is delivered right into the cells.
Just one more example of innovative research happening in our own backyard that could save lives around the world. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
And Courtney tells us the research team is now waiting for official approval to move into primate studies, followed by FDA human clinical trials.
Well, also very cool. We got a little bit of rain today. You know, that was some happy news for all of us.
And some cooler temperatures on the way as well.
Headed our direction. Yes, the first full week of October here. It's going to start off like how September ended, hotter than average, highs still in the 90s. But after that front moves through on Thursday, yes, we'll start to see those thermometers drop just a little bit. But I do want to touch on the rain that some of us saw out there today. Take a look at these KSAT Connect photos. This on the west side near Wiseman and Rogers, 3/4 of an inch of rain there in the gauge. And this is near the Valley Ranch area. about 1.5 inches of rain from a couple of downpours that we saw move across portions of south central Texas. Unfortunately, here in San Antonio, it wasn't for everybody, and we didn't actually see any rain drop at the airport. But you can see south side of Bexar County, right along the Atascosa County line, just over 1/2 inch, almost an inch northwest of Poteet. And then in northwestern Bexar County, a little yellow pocket that you see there, and also east of Pearsall, right along the I-35 corridor. That is over 2 inches of rain that have been estimated by authority radar. So again, not everybody saw it, and that's going to be the case tomorrow and into Tuesday, but at least we have had activity out there on the radar to monitor. So let's go ahead and get you the details, though, on the elephant in the room, this cool front that is expected to move in now Thursday morning. On Wednesday, about a 40% potential for some hit or miss showers and storms. Still not going to be for everybody there either, but we are going to bump that up to a 60% potential as we start to see that front move through on Thursday. So let's talk all about those details, starting off though with your KSAT 12-hour forecast. Planning out your Monday, 74 degrees tomorrow at 7 a.m., 81 at 10 a.m. Already warming up pretty efficiently by lunchtime, a temperature around 86, and then another hotter than average afternoon with that forecast high pointed around 93, a 20 to 30% potential for a few more isolated downpours, a stray rumble of thunder. Something we will continue to monitor. Very similar to what we saw out there earlier today. Most of us do look to climb into the low to mid 90s, 95 in Floresville, 95 in New Braunfels, 90 out west in Uvalde, stretching over to Utopia. And still it is going to be warmer than average Tuesday and into Wednesday. We might be able to trim off a degree each afternoon. But then after we see that front move in on Thursday, those temperatures drop, potentially struggling to climb out of the low to mid 80s by Friday and into next weekend. So here's the setup. Right now, we've got an area of high pressure anchored well off to our northeast. With where we sit in relation to that high pressure system, our winds here at the surface are in from the southeast. So that means that more of that Gulf moisture is working into south central Texas. You can definitely feel it when you step outside. But as we take a look farther off to the west, there's an area of low pressure approaching the Four Corners region. Watch what happens over the next couple of days. That's actually going to work its way closer to the northern tier, and that's what's going to drive that front into North Texas by Wednesday night. Some scattered rain and thunderstorms starting to get going near the Metroplex, over to the Red River area, and even down to the San Angelo area as well. We'll start to see that work its way farther southward by Thursday morning, something to check back in on as you plan the Thursday morning drive as well. Scattered rain and thunderstorms accompany the boundary, moving southward throughout the day. And as of right now, it's looking like those rain chances will start to gradually drop off by Thursday night as drier and cooler air works into the region. But definitely something to check back in on in the days ahead as we really start to fine tune that timing. We also are going to need to monitor the excessive rainfall, too much rain falling in too little time. Localized flooding concerns, some ponding of water on the sides of area roadways, something to keep tabs on too, especially in common trouble spots and low-lying areas. So just know we will continue to fine-tune and hash out all of these details in the days ahead. A good idea to at least put the umbrella in the car as early as tomorrow, even though you might not need to use it each and every day. Thursday is looking pretty good, and I think pretty much all of us are excited for, yes, a better rain chance and cooler temperatures into next weekend, guys.
I'm just going to forego the umbrella and just embrace the rain.
There you go,
happens, Mia. We need to
That's what I
accept
did.
it.
I walked in the park in the raindrops today. It was beautiful.
There you go.
Larry will join us with a preview of Instant Replay right after this. Houston Texans are now 2-2 this season after easily beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Dallas Cowboys were looking to get back on track at home against the Patriots. For a preview of what's on Instant Replay tonight, here's our Larry Ramirez.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Texans look good today, and the Cowboys defense certainly looked good today. So the Dallas Cowboys were home hosting the New England Patriots, and they were facing a friend and former teammate coming up tonight on Instant Replay.
And now it looks like, guess what, there he is. Did not play at all on the first drive, and now on the field for the first time here as an ex-Cowboy.
That friend and former teammate is running back Ezekiel Elliott, who picked up 9 yards on his very first carry against his former squad. The Cowboys hammered the Pats thanks in large part to their defense that dominated like it did back in weeks 1 and 2.
About to address the fans here in Houston. H-Town, are you ready?
Texans great J.J. Watt fired up the home crowd at NRG Stadium before the game, and apparently it also fired up the current Texans squad, who laid the smackdown on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Watt was inducted into the Texans Ring of Honor, so it was a win-win in H-Town.
As they flip the field. Now, let's tell you what a punt is. Why would a team give the football away on purpose? So 2 fouls against the Jaguars, and there goes Slinky Dog. Wow, that's impressive agility. You see the Skycam being operated today by an alien, operated by the Claw as well.
At least we know he'll have all eyes on the camera.
The NFL London broadcast between Jacksonville and Atlanta featured an alternate Toy Story themed version and called it Toy Story Fun Day Football, exclusive to Disney Plus. It's the first of its kind for an NFL game. Plus, we have the best of big game coverage from Week 6, a brand new 12's Top 12. Mario Barrios is coming back home with a new title belt. And is Texans rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud the favorite to win the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year award? That's our poll coming up tonight on Instant Replay.
The Claw.
The Claw.
Yeah,
look at it.
I woke up early to watch that. I could not stand it. I had to turn it off. But it was cool. Thanks.
I thought it was cool.
It was interesting. He was arrested with loaded weapons and 160 rounds of ammunition. Universal City Police say he threatened to kill people inside their home and police officers. KSAT investigates why the Bexar County DA's office recommended low bonds for that suspect when we continue on the Nightbeat.